Hey guys, we're back for another tier list, not reaction video. That's the wrong one. We're doing another tier list, and we're doing basically the expansions in my eyes of what I think is the best expansion. Now, I'm gonna go through in order. I know these aren't in order at the moment at the bottom, but we're gonna go through the order. Um, Classic S tier, and the reason is Classic didn't know its own story. Like, there was so many different bosses, there were so many different threats to the world that you had to go help. There wasn't like one particular character at the end which you had to defeat. Because obviously you had the Ragnaros and Neltharion and Nixia, Cthulhu, um, Kel'Thuzad. There were so many different areas for no reason, and it was so chaotic. It was great. No one knew what they were doing, and it was the introduction to World of Warcraft. So for me, classic always is the S tier for me. Burning Crusade, the first expansion of World of Warcraft. And the only reason why it is at B tier is because they killed off too many important characters far too quickly. Now, if you have played Warcraft 3, obviously you've got Lord Illidan, Lady Vash, Kel'Thas Sunstrider, and they killed all of them off practically straight away in the Burning Crusade. Like every single one of them. Obviously, Illidan was like the second to last raid, I think it was, because there was a Stonewall afterwards. But it was disappointing to see such important lore characters growing up, especially because I played Warcraft 3 as a child as well, and it's going about 20 odd years ago now. You know, playing as Illidan, controlling Lady Vash, or like trying to like breach the Frozen Throne as Arthas, you see such an important lore character, and it was just they were just instantly killed, and you didn't really three important lore characters that we all grew up with, and that was it. They were gone, and it was like, okay, we're gonna do this now. What they should have done was done quite like a Warlords of Draenor scenario in which we killed Lady Vash and Kael, and then Illidan sort of ran away back to Azeroth, and then kicked off something over there instead. And that's the route I would have gone down for it. I don't mind Burning Crusade. Obviously, the flying was introduced in Burning Crusade. It was a very otherworldly experience. But again, it wasn't. I didn't enjoy Burning Crusade at all. Unfortunately, um, in terms of law, it made little to no sense of why all of a sudden these people all of a sudden were against. Um, but moving on, we then go to Rise of the Lich King, the Scourge Invasion. And this is the thing, Arthas is the most iconic villain of World of Warcraft. I know what a lot of people are going to say when I move this. And a lot of people are probably going to either unfollow or scream at me in the comments. But I personally, and this is my opinion, I didn't like how Wrath of the Lich King was written, because at the end of like every zone you saw the Lich King, and it was like, oh haha, I'll get you again, and then he'll run off, and then go to the next zone, and the Lich King's there like, oh look, I've raised a Vicruel. Oh, you've killed him. Oh, haha, I'll get you again. And then he'll run off. And I know the fact he's trying to test us to be the greatest champions ever and shit like that. But I just didn't like the story. Like, as a hard member going into Bari Tundra, it was a fucking dead ass zone. Sholazar Basin feels out of place. Dragonblight, the best part about Dragonflight was fighting in the Undercity. Crystal Song Forest had literally nothing in it. Storm Peaks and Ice Crown were only good if you had flying unlocked, which was like 5,000 gold or something daft like that. As far as it goes, like, it's given way too much hype for what it is in my eyes. I really don't particularly like it, even though it's got one of the most iconic villains in World of Warcraft. And you've got to realize as well, the only person of like sheer importance that died was Varrock Sarathang's son. We're taking on the King of the Dead, the Lich King himself, and basically one important lore character has died. Legion lost two. at least, if not more. I think more, but two especially. Like, you know, this guy's meant to be such a big threat, yet he only killed one person's son. Like, there was no. It didn't feel like he was a threat. It really didn't feel like he was a threat to me. Cataclysm. I loved the old world revamp. I really did. Now, yeah, it's because of the old world revamp. The new zones that came out were pretty lackluster. I think the best one was Hydra out of them all. Because you had Vashia that was underwater. You had Oldham that was cutscene central. You had Deep Home, which were in a cave for some fucking reason why. And then you had Twilight Highlands, which you were dealing with four different versions of the Void, and everybody were fighting each other and nobody knew why. And the storyline for Cataclysm seemed very messy. And, you know, it didn't feel rewarding, if that makes sense. I know the fact they're definitely trying to bring out the hour of Twilight and everything like that. I get that, but I don't know. Green Jesus taking the kill, the aspects losing the power. I don't know. It just feels meh. Feels meh. Meh. Didn't feel great. Like, the storyline of Cataclysm wasn't the strongest, but the old world revamp was fucking awesome. Then we go to Mr. Pandaria. Absolute S tier. Mr. Pandaria. The storyline for Mr. Pandaria is top tier. Genuinely is. You know, you go to this new continent, this new land, and all of a sudden, if you're hard, you have to ally yourself with monkeys, and if you're alliance, you have to ally yourself with fish. Like, that is how bizarre Mr. Pandaria was. There's pandas roaming everywhere, you know, there's all good influence everywhere. All of a sudden, this Mogu dictator comes back, which we just instantly deal with because he wasn't that much of a threat. Like, I think the Thunder King was the weakest part to this story. Then you get Rathion, which was part of the Badlands quest and experience, and he's playing chess with Anduin, or something with Anduin, I don't know. Like, the Mr. Pandaria expansion to me was the best one, and then to top it all off with the Siege of Orgrimmar at the end. That raid was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, and I do love it with all my heart. Mr. Pandaria is by far one of, if not the best expansions of World of Warcraft, hands down. We all know it. We all know where Warlords of Draenor's going. It was just messy. They introduced time travel and it just didn't work. I loved how they wanted it to work, and if they had actually worked it out how they envisioned it, it would have been better. Like, you know, going back in time, stopping the Horde from being corrupted, you know, and all this lot, but it just felt so forced for no reason. Like, it just felt wrong. It really did. And not only that though, but the amount of content they promised us that we just didn't get. You know, the garrison was just absolutely fucked for 3/4 of the expansion. It was just no. It leaves a sour taste. Legion, S tier, 100% S tier. Legion was great. The amount of lore that came in just to the artifacts alone. Exclude class halls, exclude all the zones, get rid of all the bosses. Just the artifact system alone. Every single weapon of every single specialization had a backstory. Now, yes, some were copy and pasted, granted, but majority of them did have their own backstory. Then you include all the zones. You know, you've then got the entire storyline where you need the pillars of creation. You know, you need the Teir of Elune, Hammer of Kaskaroth, the other two. Oh no, there was 5 in total, wasn't there? Was there 5? Yeah, I think there were 5. Because there was a hammer, the Teir, the staff. I believe it was a shield. I don't remember. It was one from Odin. The Ages of something. Anyway, there was just so much lore and so much story, and you know, at the end you got to go to Argus, which I believe Argus was a complete and utter letdown of the expansion. Because I feel like they could have made Argus into an entire expansion, and they didn't. They made it into a single questing zone. Well, they made it into 3 questing zones, but I just feel like they could have. If Argus, like, if they rolled into a new expansion of Argus, you know, let's say, we've closed the Tomb of Sargeras off, but it'll just open the portal to the world. Boom, next expansion, World of Warcraft, Argus. you know, that would have been better. Um, and then we could have gone back into Battle for Azeroth. I think that would have flown a lot better. But because the back end of it was just so rushed, that was the worst part. But Suramar, the great city of the elves, um, the Tauren in High Mountain, the blue dragons, and the withered. Is it called the withered? Uh, Wretched, withered, wretched, something. Yeah, you've got the wardens, you've got all these demons everywhere, and it was just such a good. You felt like the world was in danger. You felt like you had to get involved. You felt like you had to defend the planet, and you actually felt quite. It felt very. You actually felt the progression in the story, which is something that the others hadn't done yet. You didn't really feel the progression. Battle for Azeroth, unfortunately, it's D tier. It was just they're just shocking. Like the areas, they're just no. The quest experience is just a straight no. You don't feel like anything's important. I think there's only one good part of the whole of Battle for Azeroth, and it's a single quest chain in Vol'dun where you meet the lizards, the lizard worshippers, and there's like a little plot twist or something there. But Battle for Dizar'alor, they've already tried raiding one city, that worked. Let's try raiding another, doesn't work as well. You know, you've got Bavalis, you've got Zuldazar, which literally the entire area is basically the city, but then you've still got like a 60 odd quests in like 1/4 of your map. It just felt so clumped up. It felt horrific. It was such a bad expansion in my eyes. Obviously, if I did carry on, there's obviously Shadowlands and Dragonflight. Dragonflight would be at A tier, because I do love the Dragonflight story. We are currently, at the time of recording, we've just got onto with Madrassil, with the World Tree. I do like that. Dragonflight, I think that the World Tree storyline's a little bit out of place in my eyes. I think it should have been more about Ysara and Meredith trying to, make Meredith fit the role better for being the aspect, because obviously she wasn't ready for it. Um, but bringing the new World Tree in, I believe, should have been an entire expansion. So, like World of Warcraft, the Emerald Dream, rather than what they've gone with now. But that's my opinion. That's, if I was to do it. Shadowlands, unfortunately, it'd be a C tier with Shadowlands. I won't say it's a direct D tier. Shadowlands went weak at the back end. You went to Zero Mortis, and it just felt weird. It was just a weird plane of existence. And although that's what the design was meant to be, it was just too fucking weird. Like, it just made none of it made sense. But the actual whole, like the original storyline, like going back where, you've got, what's her name now? The Arbiter. How she's been destroyed by something. Every single person's now just going straight to the maw. It felt very Lich King, it was kind of like, haha, I'll get you again, and then it'll just toddle off somewhere, and then, oh, you've defeated my top creation, oh, I'll get you again, oh, my best commander's betrayed me, it's alright, I'll get you again. And then by the end, it's like, oh yeah, a divided cosmos can't stand against what's to come. And you're like, well, if you said that to begin with, we would have been fine. So, I mean, yeah, Shadowlands would go at C tier, Dragonflight would go at A tier, in my opinion. But again, guys, if you guys have enjoyed this, and I know a lot of people are going to be absolutely raging in the comments of the fact I put Wrath of the Lich King so low, and I know for a fact, but to me, the storyline it just really doesn't make sense how one of the strongest iconic lore villains, the person that killed Uther the Lightbringer, how no one else fucking died. It makes zero sense. Even Bolvar technically survived. And, it just feels, no. It just, like, you'd see, like, the King of the Undead, and you'd think, shit, force to be reckoned with, we're going to lose some forces, kind of like in Legion. and just like nobody important dies. Like one guy's son dies and that's it, and gets into a boss. Like that's my opinion anyway, and I know a lot of people are gonna hate me for it, and I'm very sorry, but yeah. So thank you for watching. Please don't hurt me too much. I love you guys. Bye.